It's been a very hot, long summer, and plants are really struggling in the garden. The ones in the ground are struggling, but for ones that are in pots, it becomes a bit of a bind having to water nearly every day, because hanging baskets particularly just hang there in the wind and in the heat, drying out, and you have to water every single day, which I just can't be bothered. I haven't got time. And so I'm opting now for big containers. But the downside of big containers is that they're very expensive to buy. So in our garden, we've been experimenting with different ideas, a cheaper way of doing things. And this is just one, which I think has worked really well. But we've got other different looks. This one's Corten steel. We've got tea washed, so kind of a gunmetal appearance. And they're all bottomless containers, so that means that they don't dry out nearly so quickly, and you get to just enjoy them. So join me for this video and we'll discuss this in a little bit more detail. Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden. So in this video we're going to be showing you how I planted out this planter. And as I said in the intro, having plants in little pots is just so hard to keep up with watering. We've had such a hot summer, and so I'm looking at ways to create big containers, but I want to do it on a budget, because containers, even small containers like terracotta pots and things, are so expensive. So in order to get the effect, we needed to find a way of doing it in a cheaper way. So the first method we used was tea washing. Now, tea washing is when you get galvanized metal and you treat it and you turn it into a kind of gunmetal effect. And this was really effective, really good. And if you want to know more about how to create this effect, then I will leave a link to a previous video that we did. And I would just say, wherever you are in the world, if you get in contact with a blacksmith, you will have a local blacksmith somewhere, and this is by far the cheapest way of doing it. And you can have the things made bespoke to your size, and it's really so much more reasonable than I had thought it would be. So we've made a good friend with Mike, who's a local blacksmith in this area. He made the big bottomless pots. That was the first thing he made for us, but he subsequently made all the lawn edging. And it's been really good. And so I asked him to make something for this area as well. Now, what I would say with the silver pots that we made, they come galvanized. Now, galvanization is a process to stop containers rusting. It's dipped galvanized, so it comes like that, and it looks really shiny. And I think if you just leave it long enough, it will eventually kind of dull down, but I wanted it to look right from day one. So when we came to do this new area, this is our sort of arboretum area, lots and lots of trees in this area, but all small trees that are all suitable for a small garden. If you're trying to think what to plant in your own garden, then have a look at the video that I'll put up now, all about the process of how we chose the trees and made sure we were getting trees that were suitable. And touch wood, everything is doing very well. You will see there are some water bags around the base of some of our trees, and that was just to get them through this very hot, dry summer, and that seems to be working really well. So anyway, the area that we put in, we wanted to have a central point. I wanted it to look quite contemporary, and so I had the idea of having a central tree, multi-stem tree in the middle, which the garden, kind of a focal point to this area, with the planting up high and the tree raised high. So this tree is Crataegus persimilis prunifolia, and it's also known as cockspur hawthorn. And Livia bought this tree last year for her show garden she did at the Tatton Flower Show. It was her first show garden she did, and she bought this tree. We contributed to it because we wanted to have it afterwards for our own garden. So it's now in its final resting place. It went in this time last year, and underneath it we planted just all the plants left over from her garden. It was colourful, but it was a bit of a mishmash. But the metal around the edge, it was this silver colour, and I treated it with the tea wash and turned it into the way the other pots are. But for some reason it just didn't look right. It just looked like something had landed from outer space. It kind of jarred, and both of us just thought, it's just not right really. So we've lived with it for quite a long time, thinking, what are we going to do? And we came up with an idea, because the lawn edging has gone this lovely rusty kind of effect. Corten, it's called Corten Look. we thought actually the edging actually looked nicer than the centre circle, and it really complemented the planting, because a lot of the planting in this area is kind of browns, rusty colours, purples. Everything's got a kind of hint of kind of purpley tones to it, from the arbutus here to the phormium to the pittosporum to the cornus. Even the hydrangeas turn that lovely you know, kind of rusty colour at this time of year. And we've got a beautiful Acer griseum, which I think is my favourite tree of all, with the lovely peeling brown rusty colour bark. And even things like the sedum and the cycocarpus behind have got that colour in them too. So the silver seemed to jar, and it looked too kind of modern looking. And the reason I wanted to do the silver colour was to keep it continuation with the whole garden, to kind of have a theme within the whole garden. But that theme, this is in a more informal part of the garden, and it just didn't work. So I think we, as I said at previous times on this channel, is that we always like to do things wrong before we do them right. And this is the normal case of doing it wrong. So the metal, when it came, Mike brought the metal and it was galvanized like the other one was, which meant it's really, really shiny. And we thought we didn't really look right, but we thought once we do it with the tea wash, it will dull it down and it will look okay. But we tea washed it and it still didn't look right. It just jarred. So we've been thinking what we're going to do. So we decided we would try and turn it into Corten steel. The problem we had was that because the metal had been galvanized, you can't Corten metal that's been galvanized, it has to be untreated. And so Alistair reckoned he could get the galvanization off by sanding it. So he spent all weekend last weekend lying on his side with his sander, sanded it all off, thought he'd got it all off, went to do the treatment, and it went really, really patchy. So he then had to do it all again. So he literally spent 2 days sanding it all back. That was the hardest job. But if you get your metal, make sure it's ungalvanized. You won't have any of these problems. I didn't do a video on it because well, it was just a bit of a mess at the time and we didn't think it was going to work very well. I have taken some photographs, but anyway, once he got it all back, then it was time to get the Corten Look. And the way to do that, we looked on YouTube for how to get that effect, and you need 3 products. First one is salt, the next one is white vinegar, and the last one is hydrogen peroxide. And I'll leave a link to the video on the proportions that you mix it together to get this look. The guy in the link I'm going to give you, he doesn't wear any glasses or any goggles or anything, or gloves, but you should do, because it can be quite harmful. It's got a warning on the label, so make sure you wear the appropriate health and safety. But all you do is literally spray it on the untreated metal, and within minutes it starts to change into this lovely Corten steel look. And this will last a long time. It will stay looking good. It's not a good idea to do it on things like seating, because obviously I've just touched it and it's all orange, so you don't want to sit on it. But for something like a planter or even like a panel of you know, trellis or something, it would look really, really lovely. So anyway, so it's looking good. Finally we got there. And it was ready to plant out. So yesterday we went to the nursery and just put together lots and lots of plants, and we're going with that ready theme. You know, we wanted texture, we wanted contrast, we wanted movement, all of those things, something quite light, quite airy. All the plants that I've used, they'll all come back again next year. They might get bigger and bigger, obviously they'll grow, and it might get too full, and I might have to revisit it subsequent years just to thin it out a little bit as things get bigger. But I wanted it to look good from day one, and I think it does. So we'll go back in time and I'll just show you some of the plants that we got and the process of putting them in. In the absence of anything else, I decided just to plant a packet of Erigeron carvinskiensis profusion seeds, and I grew lots and lots of little plants, and I've put them all in here. The vision is that they would spread out and they would overspill like they've done in the other containers. The little daisies look really pretty. But I think in hindsight, even if they had grown well, which they haven't, I think it would have looked quite flat and rather boring, and I think we need something a little bit more inspired. So I've got 3 bags of compost. Let's hope that's enough. It's already quite full, but it definitely just needs topping up. The soil seems very dry,
Some of it is topsoil, some of it is our compost. That's what we used when we topped this up. But I think this is just a bit richer, which will hopefully help retain a bit of moisture than it has been.
So that's one bag, it gets covered about a third of it, so that seems perfect. Second bag just going on. Two-thirds done, perfect amount. And finally for the last bag, quite heavy, but I'm just going to roll it. So we'll just put this on, let's speed this up a bit and get the soil spread evenly over the area, and it already looks nicer. So we're good to go. Okay, so these are the plants. We went to the nursery and we chose plants that looked quite nice together, and we laid them all out on the ground in the nursery just to get a feel for what everything looked like. We've got salvias here at the front, we've got some grasses, we've chosen reds, purples, whites, and lots of texture. So I think that's going to look really, really good. And that's the planter. If you see it, I'll just show it to you from this side. Got to do a little bit of repair work on the grass. The grass has been a bit damaged in the process, but you get the idea. So we've bought, on the most part, we've bought 3 of each plant just because that looks better. When you plant in 2s, it looks too symmetrical. So we've tried to get 3 of everything, and we've tried to look at the contrasting colours. Here is a euchera, which has got the purple and the yellow, and all of those colours repeated that we've already got in the garden. That's the idea. So we'll go through all of these plants in a little bit more detail. So to begin with, I'm adding the height and the airiness, and this is Pennisetum alopecuroides Hamlin, and I've got 3 of these. I'm planting 3 of everything really, just because it looks better planted in odd numbers. And a bit more lightness and and this comes in the form of Chlorophytum sonderisiae starlight. This is an evergreen rhizome perennial, gets to 1 metre tall, forming a clump of variegated, narrow, upright arching leaves with green and creamy white stripes and small star-shaped flowers that are borne on the tips of the stem, and it flowers all summer long, and I really like it. I've never seen it before. And next is Cordyline Southern Splendor. This is an exotic evergreen with masses of strap-like pointed leaves, brightly striped pink and green, and it likes pretty much all soil types and a sunny or slightly shaded spot, so it should do well here all year round. And next is Euphorbia X Martinii Ascot Rainbow, and this is a plant that will do well in a hot sunny spot, gets to about 60 centimetres, also known as spurge is a common name, and it's always remember it's got that irritant, so be careful and always wear gloves when cutting it back. And another euphorbia, this one called Ascot Petite. It's a lovely small little euphorbia. It gets only to 30 centimetres and it forms this impeccable little clump with very little effort. Flowers from spring to early summer. Quite similar in form to that euphorbia in that it's got a kind of blobby little compact habit is this. This is Hebe Blue Star. It's a small compact evergreen shrub known for its attractive silvery blue dense foliage and masses of white flowers in summer. It attracts pollinators like bees and butterflies. And a really strong hit of yellow. Now this comes from Escallonia Glowing Embers, a new form, more compact with unusual evergreen foliage colour. Its pink flowers appear in summer. It likes full sun to dapple shade, and all but very wet soils. It's going to love it here. And I love this plant. This is Nephophia Poco Sunset. This is a dwarf clump forming deciduous perennial, gets to about 40 centimetres in height with short grassy mid-green leaves and masses of flower spikes about 60 to 80 centimetres tall. They're deep orange red and fade to a tangerine. And I think by accident I have stumbled upon a genius planting combination, even if I do say so myself. The Nephophia, the Escallonia, the Eucharis and the Euphorbia and even the Salvia just look so good together. And this is super fun gardening. I absolutely love it, having lots of plants to play with. And next we're going to go for something that spills over and some silver leaves. This is Convolvulus neorum. As you might guess, it's a Mediterranean plant from its appearance. It likes full sun, but it is frost hardy. It has low, narrow, silvery green, silky leaves and wide funnel-shaped white flowers with yellow centres. And next, some interesting leaf colour and contrasting colours. We've got two euchras. One is called Sugar Frosting, which is the purple leafed one, and one is called Leapfrog, which is the yellow one. And I always think euchras look so much better high up than they ever do on the ground. And here they give that lovely, lovely foliage. And again, they'll kind of spill a little bit and just help soften that edge. And another waterfall cascading plant, and this is Rosmarinus officinalis prostratus. So this is a prostrate form of rosemary. Instead of the upright one, it's going to spill, and this is going to look lovely just over the edge, and it will smell nice, and it's also somewhere I can come and pick rosemary when I'm cooking. And next we've got some salvias, and I've got two red and two cream salvias, and what I want from these plants is for them to sort of sprawl and weave in amongst the other plants just to kind of soften everything. And the red one is called Salvia Gregii Radio Red. It's a bright red hardy salvia flowering from June until the first frost, likes full sun and well-drained soil. And then the second one is Salvia Clotted Cream, a long flowering subshrub. Cream flowers appear from July until the first frost. There we are, da-da! I think that looks nice. Now we just need to get on and plant. So I just work in sections, kind of starting at the back, working forward, taking plants out one by one, and just so I can remember where I decided they should go. And I've also just filled in any little gaps with some of the Erigeron Carvinsciensis profusion that we dug out originally from this planter. I think it's going to look a lot more interesting with other things in it and not just all of that, which was a tad boring really. So finally we are finished. I hope you love it as much as I do. I absolutely love it now. Really, really pleased with it. We've done a few final touches. So there were some drilled holes at the top of the metal, and so we just wanted to finish it off and make it look nice. So Alistair ordered some little brass studs on Amazon, and they've come, and because they look brass, they look really good. So he's drilled some more holes evenly at 16 centimetres spacing all the way around, and we've just screwed on those little brass studs, and I think that just completes the look and it just looks more finished. The plants, I think, are settling in really nicely. They look really good. The whole thing sits comfortably now within its environment. It doesn't jar, it sits with all the other plants that are surrounding it, and I think it looks really good, and I'm just going to enjoy watching it grow and mature. So I've watered it very, very thoroughly. Watered the plants before I planted them while they were in their pots, and then now they've gone in, I've given them a really good soak, and also with some seaweed feed just to get everything off to a good start. And so that's that really, and I've used the opportunity just to go round and water all the trees as well. So I did mention we've got these tree bags, which seem to be quite successful. I think the key is to soak the soil really well and then fill up the water bag, pierce little holes in it, and then it keeps the soil quite moist. Stops it drying out too much. We'll take them off over the winter period. Once it starts to get wet again, they'll come off because we don't want trees rotting. But for now, it's been really good, and all of the trees look really healthy, particularly the catalpa is just going for it. It's got really big. But we have got one sad casualty, and that is the beautiful Cercis canadensis forest pansy. It's a lovely, lovely tree, and it's not through lack of watering, but I think what's happened is it's got wind burn. It doesn't like windy conditions. And you can see even on this beautiful evening, it's really quite windy. And so it's got leaf scorch. The leaves are all dropping. So I don't think it's dead because we have scored the bark a little bit and it is still green inside. So it might just be a case in the autumn of moving it, putting it somewhere a little bit more sheltered if we can. But other than that, I think this area is looking good. We want to revisit the seating area. That's not working at all. We've got some ideas what we're going to do there. So a few changes still to make, but I think probably the moral of this video, and indeed our gardening journey really, is if at first you don't succeed, try, and probably try again, because we never do anything right first time. We usually like to make things difficult for ourselves, but we always get there in the end. Unfortunately, I have been a big distraction to Alistair, who wants to get on and do the the area, you know, the big pond and the rill that we're putting in next door. But to be honest, I've been distracting him with all these other jobs, so he's a little bit behind. He has done some work, but we do need to get back on that job again. But this is now done. Big tick, and really love it. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.